Welcome to another special edition of MegaPress News 37. I'm Elizabeth Jackson reporting from Sebastian, Florida.
Coming up next in today's top story, Kaitlyn Hunt, an 18-year-old Florida resident, faces charges for her same-sex relationship with her 14-year-old peer. Also, President Obama honors heroes of Black history. All this and more next on MegaPress News 37.
Audio Jungle.
You have just tuned in to the Team Checker coverage with MegaPress News 37 HD with Gwen Spinks, publisher and executive producer, Janita Hughes, news anchor, and Elizabeth Jackson, Treasure Coast, Florida news reporter. MegaPress News 37 is a global news network, bringing you 24 hours of top stories, weather reports, public service announcements, ads and commercials, news and views, letters to the editors, and more. MegaPress News 37 also features the latest news and gospel entertainment, spotlighting global leaders making a difference, special events, and news talk show. And now for our MegaPress News 37 Special Edition report.
Sebastian, Florida is in Indian River County and 93 miles southeast of Orlando, Florida. It has a population of 22,000. The Indian River Lagoon, beautiful parks, the Intracoastal Waterway. It is known as the home of Pelican Island, the first designated wildlife refuge in the United States. It is known as a Millennium City and a Tree City. And recently, it is also known as the city where the 18-year-old Florida girl who made international headlines after being charged with felonies for her same-sex relationship with a 14-year-old peer. Recently, according to police reports, Kaitlyn Hunt was expelled from Sebastian River High School in Sebastian, Florida, and is charged with 2 counts of lewd and lascivious battery of a child 12 to 16 years of age as a result of the relationship. The investigation began in February when Hunt was arrested and charged after the 14-year-old parents notified authorities, reportedly when Hunt turned 18.
Ms. Hunt turned 18 in August, and these offenses occurred in December and January. So clearly Ms. Hunt was an adult in the eyes of the court, and the victim was 14 years old.
The Florida law states that any person who engaged in sexual activity with a minor between the ages of 12 and 16 commits the crime of lewd and lascivious battery. According to Bruce Colton, state attorney for Florida's 19th Circuit Court, the statute specifically says that consent is not a defense. The idea is to protect people in that vulnerable group from people who are older, 18 and above. Colton said this case exemplifies the purpose of the current law and added he would not support any effort to make consensual relations among peers legal. There's a big maturity difference between them, he said. You're talking the difference between a senior in high school and a freshman in high school. That's what the law is designed to protect. The second-degree felony charges are reportedly punishable up to 15 years in prison and could require the individual to register as a sex offender. Colton told reporters that Hunt has until Friday to accept a plea agreement. According to an arrest affidavit, Kaitlyn and her girlfriend began dating in November 2012. The victim reportedly told police they began a sexual relationship, and according to the report, the victim was 14 and Kaitlyn was 18. Under the state attorney's deal, Hunt would have been labeled a sex offender and placed on 2 years house arrest. She will appear in court June 20th and could face 15 years in prison if convicted. Hunt's attorney, Julia Graves, stated,
Our client is a courageous teenager who is choosing not to accept the current plea offer by the state of Florida. It's a situation of 2 teenagers who happen to be of the same sex involved in a relationship. If this case involved a boy and a girl, we don't believe there'd be the immediate attention to this case. Our client's a model citizen. She's been placed in an environment of school with her classmates where they go to school together, they have lunch together, and play on the same team, allowed to have communication and contact without barriers. Then when something develops between the two of them as a result of this environment, which is created by the state, it leads to criminal prosecution.
The ACLU of Florida issued a statement condemning the state's prosecution of Hunt for engaging in behavior that is both fairly innocuous and extremely common. The ACLU statement further reads, "This is a life sentence for behavior by teenagers that is all too common. Whether they are male or female, gay or straight, high school relationships may be fleeting, but felony convictions are not." Charles Sullivan Jr., an attorney for the family of Hunt's girlfriend, said that whether Hunt has received unfair treatment is not the issue at hand. Sullivan said, "The statute clearly prohibits minors from having sexual relations with adults. The consent of the minor is not an issue, nor should it be an issue. That's the message in this case, that a crime was committed and is being prosecuted." Hunt's parents allege that her relationship with her girlfriend, who was 14 when they began dating, was known to the other girl's parents. They implied that the other girl's parents waited until Kaitlyn turned 18 to press charges. According to Indian River County Sheriff Darrell Lohr, said that sexual orientation had no bearing on the prosecution of the high school senior. He said if this was an 18-year-old male and that was a 14-year-old girl, it would have been prosecuted the same way.
Stay tuned for more Mega Press News 37 after the commercial break.
Welcome back. Several weeks ago, tornadoes flattened the city of Moore, Oklahoma. And as you can see as I stand here, several years ago in 2004-2005, Florida also experienced devastation by Hurricanes Francis, Jean, and Wilma. But we have rebuilt, and we are rebuilding. Florida home sales are now up 20%. And as you can see in this beautiful community behind me, while some homes are still under construction, other homes have been rebuilt and families are now enjoying the pleasure of their homes. We believe that as we take a look at what happened in Moore, Oklahoma, that the story begins in a city where people have experienced devastation, but they will rebuild. Deadly tornadoes flattened property in Moore, Oklahoma within minutes. The National Weather Service issued a rare tornado emergency for the Oklahoma City metropolitan area at 3:01 p.m. on Monday, May 20th, 2013, warning that significant damage and fatalities were likely. At least 105 people from Moore, Oklahoma, were admitted to area hospitals as more people emerged from the rubble. Moore Medical Center, the only hospital in Moore, sustained major damage and was evacuating all of its patients to other area hospitals. The Oklahoma University Medical Center in downtown Oklahoma City had received 85 patients, 65 of which were children. Other medical centers in the area also received patients, including children. The first responders were reportedly having trouble reaching Moore, which was a population of about 56,300 people, because people were stuck in their cars on the highway. We've got so many people that are all on the interstate that we cannot get our emergency responders to the scene because we've got so many people tied up in traffic on I-35, said Betsy Randolph of the State Highway Patrol. A news update at 11:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Obama signs disaster declaration. President Obama signed a disaster declaration late Monday, ordering federal aid to supplement state and local recovery efforts in the area of Moore, Oklahoma. The president's action makes federal funding available to affected individuals in several counties in Oklahoma, a White House statement said.
This is a strong community with strong character. There's no doubt they're going to bounce back, but they need help. just like any of us would need help today, letting everybody here know that you are not alone, that you've got folks behind you.
Assistance can be in the form of grants for temporary housing and further disaster assistance. We want the people of Moore, Oklahoma to know that we are praying for them as they continue to rebuild their lives and restore their city back to normalcy. Because I believe that several years ago, the citizens of Joplin, Missouri experienced a devastating tornado and they have rebuilt. Shatana McGriff will now share how the rebuilding in Joplin is progressing at this time.
In our weather report update, Joplin rebuilds after devastating tornadoes of last year. For those living in what is known as Tornado Alley, this time of year is tornado season. On hot, humid days, people live with one eye on the sky, watching the clouds, and many communities have gone through the heartbreak of a tornado's destruction and resolved to rebuild stronger. On May 22, 2011, an EF5 tornado, one of the deadliest tornadoes in United States history, ripped apart Joplin, Missouri, killing 161 people and injuring more than 1,000. Joplin Emergency Management Director Keith Stammer says the rebuilding continues today with more than 85% of leveled properties permitted, which means that a great deal of people stayed in Joplin despite the devastation. Stammer states that since the tornado, they have upgraded to dual polarization radar technology to give Joplin residents more time to prepare for any approaching tornadoes. According to a storm event survey issued by the National Weather Service Forecast Office in Springfield, Missouri, the tornado, rated EF5 on the Enhanced Fajito scale, traveled 22.1 miles on the ground. Numerous well-built homes and businesses were swept from their foundation, crushed or pancaked, or blown and piled into other destroyed structures and debris. Hundreds of new homes and neighborhoods are sprouting up throughout the disaster zone. Joplin City Manager Mark Rohr says the rebuilding effort from the residents of the community has been amazing.
There's no doubt in my mind what the people of this community can do. There's no doubt in my mind that Joplin will rebuild. And as president, I can promise you, your country will be there with you every single step of the way. We will be with you every step of the way.
73% of the 7,500 homes impacted are either rebuilt or repaired and occupied or have permits pulled to do just that, states Mark Rohr, Joplin City Manager. Some businesses like Walmart, Home Depot, and Walgreens have been rebuilt, and building permits for an additional 965 living units for apartments have also been requested.
Coming up next, Shatana McGriff with the report. President Obama speaks to Morehouse College graduates.
Thank you for tuning in to MegaCare Disaster Help Now Incorporated. We believe in saving lives and educating families around the globe on how to prepare for a disaster before it happens. MegaCare Disaster provides the following services: CPR training, survival kits, disaster preparedness classes, how to contact emergency FEMA assistance, healthcare awareness, how to store proper supplies, such as canned goods, bottled water, hygiene items, diapers, canned milk, batteries, generators, blankets, walkie-talkies, and much more. How to contact family members before and after disaster strikes. MegaCare Disaster Golden Mission is to renovate, rebuild homes for a healthier and safer, clean environment. MegaCare Disaster needs state representatives and volunteer doctors due to the many suffering from various diseases and cannot get medical assistance during the time of disasters. We believe in rebuilding communities around the globe when disasters strike. Help us make a difference in the lives of others by calling us and making your financial pledge and donations at area code 269-757-7854. That's 269-757-7854. You can also visit our website at megadisasterhelp.ning.com. That's megadisasterhelp.ning.com. Or you can email us at megahelpnowdisaster@yahoo.com. That's megahelpnowdisaster@yahoo.com.
In our education segment, President Obama was in Atlanta on Sunday, May 19th, to give the commencement address to the 129th graduating class of Morehouse College. He spoke of the legacy of this historic black college for men and the many influential African Americans who received their education at the school, including Martin Luther King Jr., who graduated from Morehouse in 1948. The audience gathered in the rain for the outdoor ceremony before Obama arrived, forcing many guests to wear clear plastic ponchos. Rain began to fall again and thunder roared minutes after President Obama began his address. The president discussed the roots of Morehouse going back to the freed black slaves who wanted to better themselves so they could teach others to do the same. He was quoted as saying, "And over the last 50 years, thanks to the moral force of Dr. King and a Moses generation that overcame their fear and their cynicism and their despair, barriers have come tumbling down and new doors of opportunity have swung open."
There are some things as black men we can only do for ourselves. There are some things as Morehouse men that you are obliged to do for those still left behind. As Morehouse men, you now wield something even more powerful than the diploma you're about to collect, and that's the power of your example. So what I ask of you today is the same thing I ask of every graduating class I address. Use that power for something larger than yourself. So yes, go get that law degree, but if you do, ask yourself if the only option is to defend the rich and the powerful, or if you can also find some time to defend the powerless. Sure, go get your MBA or start that business. We need black businesses out there, but ask yourselves what broader purpose your business might serve in putting people back to work or transforming a neighborhood. The most successful CEOs I know didn't start out intent just on making money. Rather, they had a vision of how their product or service would change things, and the money followed. Some of you may be headed to medical school to become doctors, but make sure you heal folks in underserved communities who really need it too. For generations, certain groups in this country, especially African Americans, have been desperate in need of access to quality, affordable health care. And as a society, we're finally beginning to change that.
President Obama also said that obstacles that stem from being in a minority group should not be met with excuses, that anyone who has felt discrimination in their lives needs to harness that difficulty and channel it into becoming a more enlightened person. He was also quoted as saying, "So your experiences give you special insight that today's leaders need. If you tap into that experience, it should endow you with empathy, the understanding of what it's like to walk in somebody else's shoes." President Barack Obama, in a soaring commencement address on work, sacrifice, and opportunity, told the graduates to seize the power of their example as black men graduating from college and use it to improve people's lives. Noting the Atlanta school's mission to cultivate, not just educate, good men, President Obama said graduates should not be so eager to join the chase for wealth and material things, but instead they should remember where they came from and not, quote, take your degree and get a fancy job and a nice house and a nice car and never look back, end quote. At Morehouse, President Obama also urged graduates to inspire those who look up to you to expect more of themselves. As America's first black president addressing a predominantly black audience, President Obama also talked about his personal story. He spoke about growing up without a father, how he wished his father had been around and involved, and his desire to be a better father to his daughters, Malia and Sasha, than his father was to him. During the ceremony, President Obama was awarded an honorary Doctor of Law degree from Morehouse, making him an official Morehouse man.
Stay tuned for more Mega Press News 37 after the commercial break.
Audio Jungle.
Hello, I'm Shatana McGriff reporting for Mega Press 37 News.
Arlene Shackelford reporting from Mega News Press 37.
Elizabeth Jackson reporting, Mega Press News 37.
No matter how you say it, we're still Mega Press News 37. Global coverage that you can count on.
In our Breaking Good News segment, a woman loses 100 pounds to surprise her husband coming home from the military. Misty Schaefer surprised her husband Larry, who was just deployed for a year in Afghanistan, by losing more than 100 pounds. His reaction was absolutely priceless. Misty said that as someone who has been in a relationship with a deployed soldier, it's very hard to focus on other things knowing that they're in harm's way. It's easy to just sit by your phone, work on putting together care packages, and live and breathe every day thinking about the day that they will return. Larry, her husband, said he's impressed that Misty found it within herself not only to focus on something else, but to focus on herself, which is something so many military spouses should take the time to do. It seems that Larry's time of deployment was the best time for Misty to work on herself. The mother of one was able to focus her stressed energy on making healthy choices to better herself. Now, she and Larry can enjoy a happy life together in their new home with their new daughter, Navia.
Audio Jungle.
Welcome back. Mega Press News 37 Global Spotlight leader is newly elected president of Bennett College, Rosalind Fuse Hall. Let's take a look at her story. Rosalind Fuse Hall is scheduled to start her new position July 1st, according to the college. She will be the 17th president at Bennett College and will replace Dr. Esther Terry, an alumna who has been serving as interim president since Dr. Julie Ann Malveaux resigned in 2012. A news release from Bennett College said that Fuse Hall's experience in higher education spans nearly 25 years. Previously, Fuse Hall was chief of staff to the president and an interim director at Florida A&M University in Tallahassee, Florida. She also worked at North Carolina Central University as executive assistant to the chancellor. Bennett College provided the following information about their newly elected president. President-elect Fuse Hall has worked for the University of North Carolina, UNC system, as a corporate secretary to the Board of Governors, associate dean in the College of Arts and Sciences of UNC Chapel Hill, and director of minority affairs at St. Lawrence University. Fuse Hall is a graduate of UNC Chapel Hill and Rutgers School of Law. She began her professional career as a judicial law clerk with the Honorable William H. Walls, and then as staff attorney in the Enforcement Division of the United States Securities and Exchange Commission in the New York Regional Office. She is married to Dr. Jarvis Hall, associate professor at NCCU, and she is the mother of a graduating senior at UNC Chapel Hill. Bennett College was founded in 1873 and is one of 2 historically black women's colleges in the country. Their total enrollment is 766 full-time and part-time students, according to the school's website. You're watching Mega Press News 37, global coverage you can count on.
Making a difference, honoring heroes of history. President Obama awards Medal of Honor to a family of 4 black girls killed in 1963. This was the highest U.S. civilian honor to 4 black girls killed in a civil rights era church bombing 50 years ago. In a signing ceremony at the White House, President Obama awarded the Congressional Gold Medal to 14-year-olds Addie Mae Collins, Carol Robertsons, and Cynthia Wesley, and an 11-year-old Denise McNair, who were all killed in the 1963 bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama. In 1963, Alabama was the center of a nonviolent civil rights movement led by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and others. The movement was met with violence from the Ku Klux Klan and state and local officials trying to enforce racial segregation laws. The girls' deaths were at the height of conflict over their end to racial segregation. Though tragic, this was instrumental to the passage of the Federal Civil Rights Act of 1964, which bans discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. President Obama said that tragic loss, that heartbreak helped to trigger triumph and a more just and equal and fair America. Let's hear what President Obama had to say in his tribute.
Well, I want to say what a special day this is. We are awarding posthumously, as soon as I sign this document, a Congressional Gold Medal to Addie Mae Collins, Denise McNair, Carol Robertson, and Cynthia Wesley. 4 little girls who were lost 50 years ago in the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama. I think most of you know the history. I was just having a chance to talk to some of the family members here, and for us to be able to be in this Oval Office with so many people who have worked hard to make this day possible, and understanding that that tragic loss, that heartbreak, helped to trigger triumph and a more just and equal and fair America. That's an incredible thing for us to be able to participate in. And to the families who are here today, those who lost daughters, sisters, we just want to express incredible thanks, not only for the strength you showed in suffering, but also for your persistence in making sure that we remembered those sacrifices. And this is just a great moment, and we have here a prosecutor who was able to make sure that justice eventually was delivered, even if several decades after the fact. So this is a great privilege for me. I want to thank everybody who's here and participated and worked on this thing, and I am now going to sign this bill using these 6 pens.
Amongst those attending the White House ceremony were Birmingham Mayor William Bell and Doug Jones, a former prosecutor, who finally brought the last 2 church bombers to justice in 2001 and 2002. Family members of Denise McNair and Carol Robertson also attended. Lisa McNair, the 49-year-old sister of Denise McNair, said, "We feel that this honor given by Congress means that our great country recognizes the sacrifices made for freedom in our country."
This ends our special edition broadcast for today. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, Elizabeth Jackson reporting.
Thank you for joining our Mega Press News 37 global coverage. Mega Press News is a daily news station. You may also find us on TV channel 14 and online at meganewspress37.ning.com. That's meganewspress37.ning.com. You may also visit us on Facebook at megapressnews37, or you can email us at megapressnews37@yahoo.com. That's megapressnews37@yahoo.com. Attention, publisher and owner, Gwen Spinks.